What I was asked to do is be one of the 5 citizens in Maui to bring forward an initiative to put a moratorium on the GMO community here to stop them from growing until they could prove that the pesticides they're using in their fields were safe. Because as a naturopathic physician, I take an oath to do no harm, and the word doctor actually means teacher. So that's what's so important. And through this process, there's been a lot of teaching going on, which is so important for people to understand, because so many people are not aware of what's in their backyard because it's not seen. Because on Maui, we have the perfect conditions for them to grow all year round and to spray all day long. So we're seeing the fallout in our soil, in our water, in our dying reefs. Every aspect of our community is being impacted by this practice. People came forward and volunteered to be in charge of doing petitions, the advertising, the organizing, and people just showed up from Maui. They showed up, and I think there were over 200 people doing petitions. And then there was so much love between people and connection and empowerment that everybody, it was like a huge empowerment practice is what happened. Especially the women with the children coming forward with their babies and really understanding the impact of this for their own children. So the whole community came forward, but it was just so beautiful to see people being inspired, people feeling like each voice counted, and then coming together with others to create a very powerful platform.
What I thought my involvement was in regards to being anti-GMO, this whole thing to me, it wasn't about GMO. It was about waking the people up and saying, we the people are now saying, enough already, enough with this. And they must now stand up and to arise and awaken. And I believe that this movement, this victory in time is just part of the journey of change to where people are now being awakened. If you look around on our island, you know, this election created the impetus of movement of change where people are no longer hiding in their homes behind their closed curtains. They're now not afraid to step up. I've seen people holding signs for the Navai Eha water rights situation. You got the 27 streams of East Maui. You see the people in Hana arguing about this leach field in Hana Bay. You know, these are all communities that normally just used to just bend over and take it, that are saying enough already, and they're now standing up. Now you see the current activity on the big island of Hawaii with Mauna Kea. People are, and I look at it like the reawakening was initiated with the movement and the victory and the success so far of SHAKA.
We all need to march together, because even though Maui and Molokai are 2 of the more contaminated places on the planet, this contamination is a campaign that is going on across the country, because the countries that are producing these pesticides are chemical companies, and they are primarily concerned with profit, and they don't really care about the cultures that they contaminate, and they don't really care about the long-term impact of the poisons that they're dumping on our land and in our waters. They care about short-term profits. And it's a losing strategy. And I would say to these companies, you would be better off listening to the wisdom that's coming out of the SHAKA movement than you are listening to the people who are advising your corporation, because in the long run, you're going to have to change your policies, because this is a precious planet, and we can't continue to keep dumping poisons without having horrific consequences, which we're already now experiencing.
The bees, you know, they tell us the canary in the coal mine. Well, any insect is the canary in the pesticide mine. the pesticides. Just so happens that the bees are useful. If there was a harmful insect, or one that wasn't so useful but just nice looking, like the monarch, and they died out, people wouldn't be so alarmed. Well, I guess we're alarmed about the monarch. You can see them, and they're not harmful, they're not useful anymore. But the bees are useful. I think by the time we see an impact on the bees, I think it's a little too late. That's why there's this urgency here, because it's ubiquitous, glyphosate. The chemicals are used in combinations. The combinations have not been studied, especially on fertility. And birth defects in humans, what do you think birth defects in bees look like? We don't know. I think it's going to be too late. Right now, we can control the chemicals in the name of endangered species. When the bees become endangered, like the numbers start dropping, I think it's too late. And Einstein said what? 4 years after the bees die, man will go that way too. Maybe not the next month, but we got major problems. So even in Maui, over the last, I've been here, 10 years, I don't have bees anymore. And I live far from the fields. But these things travel great distances. Toxaphene, used in the southern US, not used anywhere else, goes up to the Great Lakes, concentrates in the fish, and now the fish are toxic. These things, they have hundreds of miles and concentrate. The poor bees. But the bee represents what's going on in our body. And if we don't respect our own health, Helsinki Accord, well then I guess the bees will show us how bad this can be. And the monarchs do.
As Vandana Shiva pointed out, we are a node in a worldwide grid of consciousness that has been activated and energized. And what happened on Maui has implications for the rest of the country and the rest of the world, because it shows that a community can come together as a result of really the vision and drive and determination of a few people who brought in more people, and in the end, against 80-to-1 odds, we're able to triumph in passing a law that really is just a basic level of sanity as a result of the internet and the development of our community and the widespread support across cultural groups and all the communities here on the island. The SHAKA movement is a testimony to the fact that times have changed and people are learning very quickly and have been able to use the internet and other resources to work together to achieve remarkable ends.
I'm just thinking of John Lennon and the song Revolution. I don't think John would mind if say you want a evolution, where it's not a revolution, it's an evolution. And so this rise is giving us permission because we have created in our internal wake up, in our cellular memory, that this would be. And so a particular phrase, a particular event, a particular emotion, expression, whatever that shift is, we have been ignited in the many ways in our awareness and in our DNA. And so many, many, many are rising in this. We have to. And so we are releasing all the excess baggage and evolving into a humanity of grace and aloha. That's the invitation. We are not worried about the individual steps of getting there. We know it's happening. It's happening. So do not concern, at least this is what some of the inspiration for me is. Do not focus on the how. It is the what. What? Aloha. Focus on aloha. Focus on malama. Be in that place where when you do get angry, find the gift and the blessing. When you do judge, find the gift and the blessing. There is so much humanity that is coming together around in many ways. All that the one tribe that we belong to, the one lokahi, the one kahea, the call, and to be onipa'a, steadfast in knowing that aloha aina is our evolution. Aloha is our evolution. And the steps we get there are the steps we get there.
From the moment I began this process, I sat in the place as if we had already won. And everything I did, everything I wrote, everything that I put out into our community for the community to absorb and what have you, came from a space that we'd already won the vote. And then I just had to reverse engineer all the steps to get there. And so the moratorium is already law. Monsanto is already gone. The treatment of this land is no longer, and we're remediating the soils. This is where I sit. I sit in as if it's already complete. And for me, that is the only way it'll ever become a reality.
It's important that we realize how strong we are when we come together, and that what separates people is fear and acting out of fear and believing the fear, running with the fear, or with anger. You know, nobody wants to be around someone else who's angry. So if we can take responsibility for those feelings that certainly arise, just hold space for ourselves when these feelings arise, but not act them out on each other, but come together when we are in our strength, and then we're incredibly strong. And this is a strength that we need now. And I think that anyone who is willing to look the truth in the eyes about what we're facing, we have to be willing to risk our lives. We already are. Everything is going to go downhill if we don't step up now. This is our moment. This is our moment to act, to come, but act from love, where our true power lies. And that, the power of love unites.
We have a canoe that's sailing around the world that represents Hawaii. And their mission, or the current mission that they're on, is called Maui Honua. Yeah, to take care of Mother Earth. And so everything we do, or for me, everything I do, is connected to that. When we say the values of Malama Aina, to care for the land. When we say Aloha Aina, yeah. When we do that practice, and the land, the hidden, you have to understand the kauna of the Hawaiian people when they talk. Kauna is, you cannot only take things for the literal, you have to be able to interpret from the hidden. So there's many meanings when we use that terminology. And so a lot of people have a hard time to understand, well, what is aloha? What is aloha aina? What is malama? What is kuleana? So with that, on March Against Monsanto, I joke about it. I mentioned with you folks that what's their slogan? Their slogan is, we are to feed the world. And I always say, as a farmer, they forgot one more word. And that word was feed the world well. So if they can look into the mirror and say their current practices, is it well for the Aina? Is it well for the children? Is it well to spray poisons on the food that you're going to eat that will then harm yourself. So, you know, for those out there, that's what we're marching for. We're marching to represent and make a statement that whatever you're doing, is it well?
We have never been in this moment, ever, as humanity, ever. We have become our ancestors, and all that wisdom that comes with us is naturally fertilizing the sacred ground and all that is. So it's beautiful.
What I'd love to say is stay strong, centered within yourself, and don't give up. And that we really need to continue to be a very obvious presence, that we're not going away, we're sticking it out to the end. And the end means success in making this a safer, cleaner environment.
The SHAKA movement will persist because it's not just something that happened in the abstract, it's in all the people who work together to achieve this end, and they still share that concern, and we are still moving forward.
I personally do not support the March Against Monsanto. I personally am not against Monsanto. I'm not against Dow, I'm not against Syngenta, I'm not against any of these corporations, I'm not against anything. And because if I am, I'm creating a polarity and holding the reality in this third dimensional physical world. And it's exactly what the industry wants us to do. They know how to manage that. They know how to marginalize us. They know how to make us seem like we're, you know, radical this and radical that. And what you'll find in, you know, except for a lot, I mean, you know, Monsanto and this and that and the aggression and the fuck and all this anger and all this stuff. They're preaching one to the choir. There's very few people who change their mind about what's happening as a result of that type of energetic. And they're actually marginalizing themselves. And really what I truly believe in the spirit of what it is they're trying to accomplish. I believe the means through which they're trying to accomplish it is actually going to be completely ineffectual. Because the truth is the truth. And it's not any more true if you yell it. And so I encourage everyone in the March Against Monsanto to begin contemplating a new way, to begin contemplating possibly the march for sustainability, the march for an abundant earth, the march for healing our soils, whatever.
As far as the march, come together, people, and do something productive, creative, live the solution. Come together, cooperate, collaborate, have fun with it, play with it. And just in however small way, there is no small and large. The small is the large is the small, it's all holographic. So whatever, if I can live in harmony with the people that I know, if I can live in harmony with nature and respect it and love it and give back to Mama Earth, we are already, you know, in paradise. So let's show the world that we can do it. Not be against anybody or anything, but stay here as an open invitation to everyone to come and join. And create a movement that becomes a fashion that goes global.
I say anger is the most healing emotion that humans have when properly placed. And I believe the March Against Monsanto is improperly placed, unresolved childhood rage and trauma being placed on these corporations as opposed to back where they need to be placed so that we can be the peaceful satyagraha, peaceful non-compliance. and just simply stand up and say enough already. No, it's done. That can't happen. And that force, they don't know how to deal with. They had no idea how to deal with us. I'm sure they were sitting in their boardroom saying, who are these guys? Who are these guys? How did they do this? You know, because we weren't playing the game that they're used to playing.
People have created corporations. How come that people are being repressed by the interests of these and harmed by the interests of these corporations? People have to ask for those laws to be changed. People have to ask for life forms not to be patented any longer. It's not acceptable because these patented, changed life forms take over. They pollute the natural life form, and that's not acceptable. So we just have to speak sense with each other, and we have to come together. And people have to remember that when they express their power, and it is empowered by their own heart, and it is with the intention to serve the well-being of all, it will do good things.
From the beginning of time to right now, and from right now for the rest of eternity, there will never be another you. You're it. Every single one of us. And what are you going to do with that you? Are you going to take that gift and do everything you can to uplift life? Uplift and nurture all life, this gift that we've been given? Or are you just going to forget all about that and disregard it?
I simply invite you to have fun. I invite you into the space of your spirit to play, to respect, to honor, to be in deep gratitude that you are the living expression of the divine on this planet that has been called to be you.